Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Dr. Abuzar Ghaffari. I'm serving as a demonstrator in pharmacology department here in the MDC. The topic for today's discussion is protein synthesis inhibitors. Okay. First of all, a little introduction and what their mechanism is. Basically, there is a structure in bacteria which is responsible for the formation of proteins, and that structure is called ribosome. You all know very well. And this bacterial ribosome has two subunits, 50S and 30S. Now, there are some drugs which inhibit one of the component of this ribosome, and so that protein synthesis will be inhibited and bacteria will ultimately not able to multiply, and therefore the antibacterial activity will be achieved and cure ultimately. So tetracyclines and aminoglycosides, these two drugs inhibit 30S ribosomal subunit and ultimately inhibit the protein synthesis. Here is the mnemonic TAG. T for tetracycline and AG is for aminoglycoside. So TAG is for 30S subunit. Next is chloramphenicol, linezolid, and erythromycin is a representative drug of macrolide group, and therefore macrolides, all other macrolides too, they inhibit 50S ribosomal subunit and ultimately inhibit the protein synthesis. Their mnemonic is CLEAN, clean. So they clean 50S subunit, C for chloramphenicol, L for linezolid, E for erythromycin, and other macrolides, obviously. Moving on to the next slide. Here is a little classification of protein synthesis inhibitors. There is a broad spectrum class, and then moderate spectrum, and then there is narrow spectrum. In the broad spectrum class, uh, there are two famous drugs, chloramphenicol and tetracycline. Chloramphenicol has been very active in antibiotic activity in the recent past. Then there is not used actively in the present day, but it was used in the past massively. And then there is tetracycline. Next is moderate spectrum macrolide drugs. Macrolides, you know, famously used for COVID-19 as well as erythromycin. Other drugs are erythromycin and clarithromycin. And then there is ketolide, which is also a more or less similar drug to the macrolide. Last, lastly, narrow spectrum drugs. Linezolid, it's a novel antibiotic and newer antibiotic, and along with that, streptogramins and lincosamides also have the same mechanism of 50S ribosomal subunit. Narrow spectrum. Next is chloramphenicol. We'll read about the root of the chloramphenicol, its CNS penetration, its spectrum, its activity, antibacterial activity. Okay. Routes for chloramphenicol are oral and parenteral. It is used for both routes. It has good CNS penetration. It can cross CNS barrier, blood-brain barrier, and placental barrier as well. So this drug is contraindicated in pregnant women. Next is spectrum. Spectrum. It has a wide spectrum, and it's a bacteriostatic drug, not a bactericidal. It doesn't kill bacteria. It does. It only it puts bacteria in a position where it cannot multiply. Uh, Antibacterial activity. It has activity against. Um, it has basically a broad spectrum, but specifically active against these three bacteria: H. influenza, Haemophilus influenza, Neisseria meningitidis, and Bacteroides. Also, it is a backup drug for Salmonella and meningitis, which is caused by Neisseria meningitidis or streptococcal pneumonia. Sometimes it is used for rickettsial diseases, and commonly in today uh, time is used as topical agent. Less commonly used as chloramphenicol is less commonly used as oral or parenteral, but obviously is used as topical drug. For example, as an ophthalmic solution and also in skin perfusions. Its toxicity. First of all, it causes GIT disturbance. It can cause direct irritation and cause infections, for example, candidiasis. Next is aplastic anemia. It is very famous and very important side effect of chloramphenicol. Basically, it inhibits the red cell maturation, which leads to a decrease in number of circulating erythrocytes. But this action is dose dependent and it is also reversible. So when red cell maturation is inhibited, there is a decrease in number of red blood cells in the blood, which is anemia, and because it is happening in the bone marrow, that is why it is called aplastic anemia. Next, a very famous side effect of chloramphenicol is gray baby syndrome. Basically, what happens is that a premature baby, it only happens in premature babies, but in what happens in premature babies, because they are deficient in hepatic glucosyl transferase, which is an enzyme required for the chloramphenicol metabolism. When it is deficient, chloramphenicol will not be metabolized. Its dose will be increased, or its duration of action or half-life is increased, and due to that, it acts on the bone marrow and causes decreased red blood cells. Along with that, cyanosis and cardiovascular collapse will occur. So neonates which are premature, they have a contraindication for chloramphenicol. Lastly, chloramphenicol has drug interactions by inhibiting the hepatic drug metabolism and enzymes, and therefore half-lives of drugs which are dependent on the hepatic metabolism will be increased, like warfarin, phenytoin, or tolbutamide. Moving on to the next drug of our discussion, tetracyclines. First of all, the classifications. Classification is based on the duration of action. Short-acting drug is tetracycline, intermediate acting is doxy and minocycline, and long-acting is a newer drug, a newer tetracycline, tigecycline. So it has a broad spectrum. Tetracycline group has a broad spectrum, and they are active against both gram-positive and gram-negative organisms, but they are especially active against rickettsial disease, chlamydia, and mycoplasma. Their resist bacteria has developed a resistance against this group of drugs, and resistance is through the efflux pump. Uh, anyway, moving on, it is also active against syphilis and acne, but for this, syphilis and acne, it is used only as an alternative drug. Now the selective uses. Tetracycline is specifically used for H. pylori. Doxycycline is a drug of choice for Lyme disease. Minocycline is also a drug of choice for meningococcal carrier state. And maclocycline is used for SIADH. What is SIADH? It is uh, basically when there is a tumor in body which secretes extra ADH hormone. ADH hormone is anti-diuretic hormone. So extra water is reabsorbed from the kidneys, but this drug, demaclocycline, will counter this effect of extra water reabsorption and hence used for SIADH. Lastly, tigecycline is used for resistant bacteria. MRSA is methicillin resistant Staph aureus, and VRE is uh, vancomycin resistant Enterococci. But this tetracycline is used only intravenously. All other drugs have intravenous or oral use. Moving on to the toxicities, it has a GIT disturbance, mild nausea or diarrhea, which is tolerable usually, and there are famous superinfections with Staph aureus or Clostridium difficile as well. Bony structures and teeth. Fetal exposure to the tetracyclines can lead to tooth enamel dysplasias and irregularities in the bone growth. Hence, it is contraindicated in pregnancy. Hepatic toxicity, especially in pregnant women, when there is a pre-existing hepatic disease as well. Renal toxicity. Renal toxicity, it causes a Fanconi syndrome, which is one of the forms of renal and tubular acidosis, but is not usually observed these days. Photosensitivity, especially with macrocycline, and lastly, vestibular toxicity. It causes dizziness, vertigo, but it is reversible and dose dependent, and it occurs especially with doxy and minocycline. Now, streptogramins. Streptogramins are basically bactericidal drugs. Their duration of antibacterial activity is longer than the than usual drugs of this group, and bacterial activity is mm, it has a bacterial activity against usually the resistant bacteria which are resistant to the other antibiotics like MRSA, VRE, and penicillin resistant Streptococcus pneumoniae. Okay, it has famous drug interaction um, side effect because it is a potent inhibitor of hepatic drug metabolism and increases the level of many drugs like warfarin, phenytoin, and other diazepam, etc. Last drug of this group is linezolid. It is active against drug-resistant gram-positive cocci and the other bacteria we just read in streptogramins. It is also active against Listeria and Corynebacterium diphtheria. It binds to 50S ribosomal subunit, and it has uh, both oral and parenteral routes are viable for this drug, but it should be reserved for MDR bacteria. MDR stands for multi-drug resistant bacteria because it is a novel antibiotic, so it should be reserved for resistant bacteria and used as a last resort. It has side effects like thrombocytopenia and neutropenia, which occur mostly in immunosuppressed patients. It also causes serotonin syndrome. So SSRIs, which are the antidepressants, they should not be taken with linezolid. That is all for our topic today. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.